Hello guys and welcome. In this video tutorial I'll give you an overview of the Gravity Forms Conditional Logic functionality, which is a useful and, in my opinion, underestimated feature that gives one a huge room to improve their contact forms. As you may know, Gravity Forms is a WordPress contact form plugin, which is a paid software. Although, in my opinion, it's worth its price because it offers a huge number of features out of the box. One of the secret features that I've been playing with lately is conditional logic. I'll give you an example on how can it, in this video tutorial, I'll give you an example on how can it be used and what are the benefits of that feature. So, I assume that you know how to install WordPress plugin, and I assume you know how to input your license to use the Gravity Forms, and you have already paid for that plugin. So once you've installed and configured your Gravity Forms, you'll see that to the left of your dashboard you'll see a new section called Forms with that Gravity-like logo. And then when you go to Forms, you'll see a list of forms that you have already created. And for the purpose of this tutorial, I'll create a new Gravity Forms form using the Advanced Contact Form template. Let's name it Conditional Logic Demo. Conditional Logic Demo. Okay. This form is being created now. With our form in place, you'll see that to the center of the edit screen, you'll see your form fields, a number of HTML fields, name, address, another HTML field, preferred method of contact, email address, phone, best time to call you, stuff like that. I think that's a very useful and quite normal contact form. However, for the purpose of this example, I'll add another field, which will be HTML, and we'll call it info. Our services are, our service fees are 30% higher during late night periods. So, since the best time to call you has a number of hours to choose from, we'll make sure that we'll notify our visitors that our services fees are 30% higher if we are to call them during the night. To do so, we have to click on our info field, we have to go to the field settings tab, and we have to go to the conditional logic. Once we click on the conditional logic, we'll see a new screen in which we'll be able to enable our conditional logic. So I'm going to do it right now. Now, we have two options here. We can either show or hide this field if all or any of the following match. Show, hide, this is pretty obvious, I guess, and all means that if all of the conditions that we add are fulfilled, and any means that if either of the conditions we add is fulfilled. We need any because we'll choose from a number of hours here. So once we click on the left hand side the field, we'll see a list of our fields, and then when we pick best time to call you and we scroll down to 10 p.m. we'll choose is from that selection because we have to be sure that this was the selection. And then if we repeat the process to all consecutive hours, 11 p.m. and best time to call you is 11:30 p.m. And then if we click on save and preview, we'll see that our field will be initially hidden. So we have to make sure we pick a phone, then we select a time to call you, and if we select 10 p.m. we'll display this information that our service fees are higher than if we were to call them earlier. Right? This is absent right now. I think this feature is very useful if you want to give some additional information to your visitors or you simply want to reveal some extra fields. For instance, if you have noticed, if we swap from email to phone, we'll see that the phone field appears here, and if we select email, it's gone. This outside of the fact that we can reveal some extra fields, gives users less redundant information to go through, which saves their time, for instance. Now then, we can use that conditional logic in almost infinite number of fields, and we can also apply this conditional logic based on different rules. Say, if your name is, I don't know, Rafael, which is my name, then we'll also reveal that field. So we can combine conditional logic from a number of fields, and we don't have to stick to one field. The options where this applies are numerous. Say, if someone calls from a specific region and his phone is prefixed, you might want to reveal some extra field related to that state. Or for instance, if we had a state field for which we could use a drop down, let's say we'll limit that state and we'll add choices. Let's say, and we'll add choices. Let's say we have Ohio and we have California, and we close that. Then we can reveal another field. Let's say, maybe let's remove that, and maybe let's duplicate that one. Excuse me, this is duplicate info. We're sorry, but we are closed during that time in Ohio, which means that our, let's say that our services okay, yeah, this was good. Yeah, so if we have Ohio and 10 p.m., we'll reveal information to our users that our phone, select a time, we have to modify that to all because we want to make sure that all those conditions are met. Then if we'll save that, and if someone picks Ohio and he picks 10 p.m., we'll reveal an information to him that we are closed during that time in Ohio, which means that that field won't be displayed, which means that we won't be able to offer them services during that time. Obviously, this shouldn't be needed here, but it's not a problem in case of our example. Now then, what we can do conditional logic for again, which doesn't correspond directly to the forms, is notifications. Say we have we have two of our workers responsible for handling emails. Let's go to that form, notifications. And we want to make sure that based on the choices made, either of them receives the email. We have Bob and we have Jim, right? So if we go to the forms, and if we go to any of our forms and we go to the notifications, we'll see a new screen which allows us to configure notifications with default notification being active. Let's leave default notification as is. Now then, let's create a new notification. Let's say Bob, let's call it to Bob, who's responsible for accounting, let's say, or who's responsible for entrance coming in from Ohio. Bob at company.com, from name to Bob. Also, email is our admin email, replay to BCC, doesn't matter, to Bob, important. Let's say we'll add all submitted fields and we'll enable conditional logic. This is a different form, so it's not here, but let's assume that our username was a state, and if our username is Ohio, Bob would receive an information with all those fields filled in. None of the excuse me. Thanks to that, Bob will receive notification emails if and only if those submissions would come from Ohio. We can do the same for our other worker, Jim. Jim might be responsible for leads coming from Texas. So if one of our leads comes from Texas, we'll make sure that the email is sent directly to Jim, and when it comes from Ohio, it's sent directly to Bob. This way, we'll have some automatical functionalities enabled on our website, and we'll be able to forward information automatically without doing it ourselves. This concludes the powerful feature of conditional logic for Gravity Forms that I barely touched. I guess there's a huge room to play with the conditional logic by yourself. And thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you like the video and if you want anything similar from my end.